The International Standards Organization, or ISO, is considered to be the premier hallmark of quality standards in the world. There's several ISO standards a business can get: quality management standards, environmental management standards, health and safety standards, energy management standards, and most importantly, information technology security standards. But if you're a founder looking to get ISO 27001, you're not here to talk about naming nomenclature. You're here for exactly three things. 1. Why is the company asking me for ISO? 2. What is ISO 27001 anyway? And what's an ISMS? And 3. How do I get my ISO 27001 certificate and how much will it cost? Let's start with that first question. As cyber attacks become more frequent and bigger and larger companies become the victims, hackers will often target the weakest link in the process: vendors. Researchers at cybersecurity company Bluepoint examined hundreds of SMB subcontractor firms and found that over half had severe vulnerabilities within their networks, including unsecured ports and unsupported or unpatched software, making them vulnerable to cyber attacks, including data breaches and ransomware. Simply put, vendors often handle large amounts of enterprise data, and should a vendor ever get hacked, there's severe consequences, not just for the vendor, but the enterprises the vendor calls its customers to. Enterprise companies ask for ISO 27000 reports to minimize such risks from their vendors. But there's several advantages of an ISO report, even beyond security. Having an ISO report gives you a go-to-market advantage, especially internationally, and in home ground, it helps you win deals against non-ISO compliant competitors. You can speed up your sales cycle by removing security and compliance objections, and you can also sell upmarket by gaining the trust of larger enterprises. Additionally, you enjoy time, effort, and expense benefits that come from your reduced risk of security vulnerabilities. So now that we know the why, let's tackle the what. What is ISMS and what is ISO 27001? If you've read up about ISO before, there's no doubt you've come across the term ISMS. But what is it? ISMS stands for Information Security Management System and is the industry speak for what you and I would call your overall security standing. It's a holistic set of processes, policies, and plans that dictate how you approach information security in your organization. For ISO 27001, a fully spec'd out ISMS is a must. But how do you go about building one, and what do you do after you have? Let's start with building out your ISMS, also known as the internal process. There's 5 big steps to getting started. The first step is scoping the information security management software out. Like with building any product, when it comes to an ISMS, you want to tackle the foundational questions first. Who's going to be taking charge of this? How much of your organization will you cover? What kind of information are you looking to protect specifically? The second step is a risk review. A formal risk assessment is pivotal to ISO compliance. It entails identifying your at-risk assets and categorizing your risks based on severity or tolerance. Step 3. Now that you have a list of risks, it's time to decide how you're going to build policies to tackle them. A good rule of thumb is to use the MASA model: modify, avoid, share, and accept. Modifying the risk means taking steps to reduce the likelihood of the risk itself. Avoid entails preventing circumstances in which the risk could occur. Sharing the risk involves protecting yourself by spreading it out, like purchasing insurance. And some risks you accept because fixing it would cause more pain than the risk itself would. Step 4. Share these internally. Once you've designed processes and policies, it's time to put them down on paper and spread them across the team to ensure they're put into practice. And finally, documentation and collecting evidence. You want to collect proof that you're actually following everything you've outlined before and that you're doing so in the right format. If all of this seems like it's a lot of work, that's because it is. The traditional manual way of building an ISMS would take several months of hands-on active effort, and even if you hire a consultant, it's still a lot of cost, time, and calls. Everything we discussed so far was just the internal process. There's also an external process to consider. Think of it as a PhD. So far, you've done all the hard work of research and writing, but you still have a thesis defense to do. So once you have all your evidence collected, you can go to an auditor. An auditor will do 3 things. They will A. Review your ISMS design. They do this to ensure you're following all the guidelines as specified by the ISO requirements itself. 2. They'll verify the processes and evidences you submitted to them. Based on this, they will write a detailed assessment based on your performance as an organization. And 3, they will give you your certificate. Once you've completed the steps above, you get your ISO 27001 certification, and it's valid for 3 whole years with conditions. During these 3 years, the name of the game is maintenance. You want to continually ensure that your ISMS is operating effectively and you're accounting for new threats as they emerge. These are called surveillance audits, and your auditors will undertake them during this 3-year period. Which brings us to our final question. How do you actually get an ISO 27001 certification, and how much does it cost? Well, like we mentioned, you could do it the traditional way or even hire a consultant. Both of these methods, however, will cost tens of thousands of dollars and require several months, if not years of effort. Sprinto clients have gotten their ISO 27001 certificate in as little as 3 weeks and have done it at a fraction of the cost that they otherwise would.
So every time I use a product, I see improvements there. So whereas before it felt that I would actually need to hire somebody to become ISO compliant, or I need to start giving up a lot of my time for it, here we could do it ourselves. That's what I really enjoyed about it. And that's the main problem that I have with the whole field of ISO compliance, is that people start hiring consultants to do it. And for me, that defeats the purpose, because in the end, it should be built into the company system and not something outside of it.